And this is Pranav from the product management team of Wimbu. Who's going to be your host for the session. And this webinar has some of the ground rules. Basic one, attendees will all be in a listen-only mode. So, and because we just have a short period of time, so that we're going to complete the webinar during that. But still, you have the freedom to raise your questions. There's a Q&A box in your panel. So whatever the questions that rises up to you, you can just paste it up over there. I have a team who can answer all your questions. If any of your questions are not answered in this session, do not worry. The answers for all your questions will be sent to your registered email ID. Okay, and to proceed further, what I'm going to do in this session is we're going to talk about the topic. We're going to have a complete overview what it's going to give. That's going to be a general one, and then I'm going to pitch in how BDR Shield is going to satisfy all those requirements, and we'll just have a small overview. I'm not going to give you a complete demo because a demo can be scheduled on a head-on-head basis so that we can understand your requirements clearly and we can satisfy your answers. We can just provide you with the answers that could satisfy you. So so that's going to be an overview. I'll show you what all the features that BDR Shield has that would satisfy your requirements as per the webinar. Okay, so and once again, it's my pleasure welcoming you all for this webinar. This webinar topic is you would have come across this topic like from outage to recovery in minutes, what Indian MSPs and IT teams must know today. So that's the webinar topic actually, but I have projected it in a simple term. I don't want that a complete term to be going on in the slide, so I'm just minimizing it to to be specific. So here we are in this BDR Shield webinar organized by Wimbu team. I'm going to be your speaker, Pranav. So here the concept that we're going to discuss is downtime is really costly, and here's how to recover your data in minutes. So that's something that we have organized, and that's something that is very important as per the present situation. So everyone must come across the Middle East concerns, and the complete world is now a complete shift of powers. So we're going to talk all those things in this webinar, and we're going to make sure that it's going to be short, sweet, and made clear to you. This is going to be a practical insight driven session that's more on modern disaster recovery features. I'll also explain why the native backup would not satisfy these requirements. Okay, so before I proceed, I know a lot of people who is already our customers who have joined in, our partners have joined in, but still there are new fellow men who have joined in for this session. But to introduce ourselves, so we are Team Wimbu. So we from Wimbu Technologies, who has 23 years, oddly two plus decades of years of experience in this backup and disaster recovery solution. Okay, and we have our footsteps in 100+ countries with 4,000+ global partner base around the world. Now, our mission, when we started the company, our mission was to provide a luxurious product of backup at a nominal price range. That's the only thing that we had. So we etched the product in such a manner that it has global reach. That is, this product will satisfy the enterprises, but the provision that we are providing it at a nominal cost range is something that we do for the customers of SMBs and mid-range businesses. So that's something that we are moving towards, and that is how the product has evolved for all these 2 decades. And now on that note, we have the awards and recognition over here. And to be specific, this product is completely made in India. As you know, from the name, that Bamboo Technologies resemblance to we have a little bit of connection to Zoho Corp, because our founder is one of the co-founders of Zoho as well. So here you see the recognition and awards that we have earned for the past 1 year. When we have a series of it, but still past 1 year takes more importance. And we have been as a leader for the winter 2025 because of the recognition provided by our customers. There's all the G2 or leader, spot, or trust radius who's been providing us this recognitions. Now, about our global customers. So here are the customers who have trusted us all these years. There are a lot more, but because of NDA, we just cut short on things. But these are the customers who have been using our product till date. Now we'll talk directly into the subject. Okay, I've covered to the new users what we do and who we are. Now directly into the subject: downtime and business loss. This is what we are going to deal with. So everyone is well aware about the downtime, so I don't have to give us new definition for that. But every minute in your systems, when it is down, your business is losing. So this is the tagline that I wanted to start with. So an unplanned downtime disrupts more than the IT. Like, it is not just an IT, it also disrupts your revenue, it's a productivity loss, and even the customer stress. So everything is a cycle. So if I'm hit by a downtime, it may or may not be because of any of the reason, but it's unplanned downtime. So it'll hit my not only the IT operations, but it'll hit the revenue, the productivity, and the customer stress. Which is a cyclic effect. Okay. But to the major one, I would say a business can tolerate a smaller or a shorter downtime, but for a huger one, it will lead them in a bad reputation. Okay, and to check upon what all the causes of this unplanned downtime. See, downtime is nominal. It is everywhere around the globe because of maintenance. You must have heard about the banks going into maintenance, the bank servers going into maintenance for quite a few time. That's something they do it at a regular basis. But unplanned downtime is what we are discussing here. So these unplanned downtime due to sudden server crashes, you have the ransomware attacks, you have hardware failures, accidental deletions of data, and one more thing which I wanted to add: someone who's going to bomb you down because of the missile attacks which is going around the globe. Okay, even that. So those are unplanned downtimes. And if I'm going to survive this downtime with a good recovery plan, then I'm going to run my business with continuation and rhythm. If I'm not going to survive this the downtime, and if it is going to be for a longer period of time, then I'm literally going to lose my revenue, the productivity, and at the final stage, the customer stress. So all these are par and par with the hands. Okay. Now, most of the IT teams, the major one which I wanted to make it as a point over here is, most of the IT teams don't discover the gaps here. Okay, so it is not that you put a system, you put a team there, everything is going responding. No, most of the team doesn't identify the gaps in their recovery plan. So that is where we have to make sure that we are very specific. We have to have a planned system. Only then we can a planning or strategy is very important. Only then you can overcome this downtime. That is unplanned downtime. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So here is a clear picture of what we are going to talk about today. So we'll be talking about what downtime is actually in the organization and or beyond the organization. That is what we are going to discuss. And you will have a discussion about why this traditional backup tools create recovery delays, and why you should not always rely on them, on either the traditional or the native backup tools. That's important. And You should also have an understanding how the modern backup solution works, how the the restores of critical servers are important, and that can be achieved in minutes than the traditional way of taking a backup, which can take you to restore on hourly basis. So that's something that we're going to discuss. So what are the strategies to keep you in tandem to get your data recovered in minutes? That's the other one. And some practical actions, that's going to be what we are going to see today as an agenda. Okay, so well said that. How does downtime affect a business? So there are three layers which I already discussed. That is the revenue loss. So every minute a transaction system or the e-commerce platform or a billing tool goes offline, think about the money which will not flow. Okay, so for example, even a 1 to 2 hours of downtime can cause a huge damage, which will literally be affecting, I would say, some of the banking sectors or the financial sectors. BFS sectors is going to affect hugely because of this 1 or 2 hours of downtime. Not only the BFSI sector, even some of the bigger retail showrooms would be going into an offline stage, and that will affect their revenue hugely. Next, the productivity loss. When this is one this is for the productivity loss, I would take it as for the manufacturing industries. So employees who can't access the files or applications or communication tools or deadline slips, whatever it is going to cause you another productivity loss. Now, all these are interconnected though, but I'm just taking it on a vertical basis. So revenue loss, I would take it for the BFSI sector and huge retailers and the like malls and showrooms. Now, revenue, this productivity loss is going to completely go for the manufacturing industries. Okay, and both are going to hit upon the customer trust. Okay, so these are the major sector of industries which is playing between, or the verticals which is playing between the Indian markets. Either it could be the base of the SMBs or mid-range or enterprises. This is where the major outload goes up. Okay, the productivity loss even could affect the education institutions, whereas revenue loss could even affect the hospitals and pharmaceutical institutions. So these two are hand in hand, as I said. This will erode the customer trust they have kept on you, because a longer hours of downtime of their productions host will lead to a higher cost. So what I have just shown you is only a 3-layer impact model. There's revenue, productivity, and customer trust. But what is hidden is the IT staff's overtime and emergency response cost that will be added up on your appraisal, or that to be added up in your costs at the end of the day. And compliance and regulatory penalties. There are a lot of auditing systems that is coming into India. So if this downtime is going to cost you on the other side, it is also going to cost you on the penalties that you have to pay for the audits. So that is also a huge one. It will also make you to hit the whole codes. Next, you have the labor cost, recovery labor costs, manual rebuilding, service takes hours and skill time, which will again put you in a cost. Not only a revenue cost loss, it is also taking the money from you. So these are the things that is going to be hidden costs. So at the end of the day, the IT team and maybe the CTO or the head of the organization is going to suffer a lot if this is not properly planned. Okay, now there are people who say that I have my data taken a backup with Microsoft itself or the VMware itself, or even I just have my data copy in cloud like AWS or Azure, and these are copies, maybe like even the instances, whoever is running in Azure or AWS, we just run it from the cloud, so we don't have to we are agnostic to hardwares. I totally agree, but you should not be agnostic to backups. But people claim that having data and cloud by the native snapshot with Azure and AWS offer, they are secure. No, it is not. I'll tell you why. There are core limitations, as you could see. Slow restore speeds will happen. Okay, so full server to restore, it will take around 4 to 8 hours, and that is also dependent on your data volume and infrastructure. How, if you're going to rely on a traditional backup system, if this is going to take all of your time, then how would it be? That's again putting you in a different situation. Now, rigid restore process. Now, if you go to a legacy tools like native API, native Microsoft or native Azure or native AWS backup, the full system rebuilds before data can take a lot of access time. So that's going to take a huge time over here on this restore process. Okay. Like even if one application is affected, for example, let's consider even if that consider there's only one application. For that, do you want to restore the whole of the machine? You don't have an option though. If you're relying on a native system for backup, when you restore, you have to restore the whole of the machine. It doesn't restore only a particular application, but the corruption is only at the application level. Now, for this process, if you're going to shut down for 4 to 8 hours, think about the process or the losses that you're going to go with. Okay. And since you're taking a backup, it doesn't mean that your recovery is planned. No. You have to be having a proper drill, taking at each and every step. Only then you would be secured enough in this case. Okay. And with that note, I've also coming across a point called infrequent testing. So that's why I said you need a proper drill. You need to create a situation, and you need to try the restore failures. So if this restore failure is not satisfied by, it cannot be satisfied by traditional backups. That is what the point is. But if it is not going to be satisfied, then where will you rely on? That's something that you need to think about. And then there is something called a siloed approach. Okay. See, the backup tools is independent of virtualization, cloud, and network era, creating gaps during recovery. Okay. So even if it is a native solution, still that utility of a backup is going to be different. But you're using the native solutions backup, and that would also create some gaps during your recovery. That is what this load approach means. And no prioritization. That, as I said, if there's only a particular file that I need, or if there's only a particular a worksheet or application that I need, I just should be in a position to restore only that. If I'm going to have this rigid restore process, then I have to face the downtime. There's no other go. That's the problem in this traditional backup system and the native backup system. What if the complete Azure is down? What if the complete AWS is down? Could you just say this as an example to your customers, saying that, US has bombed my facility in Middle East, so my total Azure is down. What am I supposed to do? We can't say this as a statement to the customer, because customer is expecting you to have a good security and good process so that he gets in touch with you all time. So this is where we are lagging at times. Okay. And that is why most of the international organizations, they don't rely only on the traditional backups, but that is where the backup solutions came into play. Third-party backup solutions came into play. And as I explained, the traditional old backup will have no proper recovery. Now let's see what are all the modern recovery options that could satisfy here. to satisfy all those previous concerns. So to be specific, I'm here I'm just bringing in the BDR Shield. I just wanted to put a limelight on BDR Shield because when please concentrate on this slide, because this slide is what we are going to give you an overview about the options that we have in BDR Shield. Okay, so what are the modern recoveries in BDR Shield, or generally a backup solution could satisfy that? Okay, one, the key capabilities to highlight. One is instant recovery option. See, here it is mentioned an instant boot in BDR Shield, but it could be any backup solution that should have an instant recovery option where it will boot the backed up data as a ready state virtual machine instantly. Less than the RTO is less than 15 minutes that I can achieve. So this instant recovery option would help you to cut short on your downtime. That is one. Next, granular recovery. I don't want to for one particular corrupted data, I don't have to restore the complete machine, right? No one is going to fall a prey for that. So in such a case, a granular recovery for one single file or folder should be available. Even for example, you are taking a Microsoft 365 backup, you should be in a position to restore at least that particular mail. I don't want the complete mailbox to be restored, just one particular mail that would do your process immediately. Okay, so that is how the granular recovery should work. A particular file or folder or particular application database, only that is needed. I don't want the complete system. So your backup solution should be able to provide you with that option, and this BDR Shield does. Okay, and a bare metal recovery. My dear friends, bare metal recovery, I know it is going to take time. Okay, but it is evident that I can move from one source to another, which is not possible with a traditional backup. Traditional backup, you take a backup of the data, you just, the system, and you just store it in the same system. What if the complete system cracks down? That is not possible. So that is why this bare metal recovery comes in. That I'm happy that most of the people here knows about the bare metal recovery, because they just want to restore the complete system to a new hardware quickly in the sense at least at a manageable time frame. But this bare metal recovery, I won't suggest it is going to cut short on your RTO. No, instant boot and granular recovery would cut short on your RTO, even the failover replications for the VMs that you do. So that is going to cut short on our RTO. Not the bare metal recovery would not cut short on our RTO, but then it will make your process, the process of restoring to a complete machine, which will take minimum 8 hours, can be shortened at a 50% of that, which is going to be 4 hours or now. Okay, so that's something that bare metal recovery can do, but that is a permanent recovery option. Okay, now one-click failover. This is majorly used for high availability, and this is widely used in VMware and Hyper-V environments. Okay, so I can just, by click of a button, I can just bring up a passive virtual machine which was synchronizing with my production host. When the production host goes down, immediately I just click on failover to bring up that virtual machine on the targeted host. So that makes my process still more easier, faster. That's something that one-click failover is there. And later, once I'm done with this failover stuff, if I'm going to roll back, I need to roll back with whatever the changes that I've done on that, the recently brought up machine to my source host. So that feature is available in the BDR Shield for both VMware and Hyper-V virtual machines. Okay. Now, even the DR site, we also have offsite DR option. So the DR will have similar recovery options, whatever you see in the on-prem. If that is an instant boot that you're doing at the DR side, whatever the changes that you're doing will also be replicated to the production site at the time when you try to restore. So that's something that is important. Now, recovery to cloud. Okay, so this is in a case, this is of a case where you would be able to restore even your physical machine as a virtual machine in a cloud. So this cross platform adaptability should be available, which is not present in the native tools, but it has to be done only through a backup solution like us. And this is again a permanent recovery option similar to bare metal recovery. So it will take its time, but it is a larger state. Like for example, instantly you boot the virtual machine, you're keeping your business continuity, and if once you can have a downtime, planned downtime, in which you can, if your hardware is locally hit, you can just bring it up to cloud. That is the cloud recovery. So that option should be available in any backup solution, which is available in BDR. Now let's see a comparison here. So I've just brought in a comparison in the same slide. So here, before and after comparison of the downtime. So before you need to discover the outage, you need to raise a ticket, locate the backup, begin the restore, wait to 4 to 8 hours, verify, and then bring it online. That's what will happen if you go for a traditional way. Now, if you're going with the modern recovery options, which is available in latest backup solutions like BDR Shield, you can detect the failure, trigger instant recovery, then critical server online in minutes. Then you can perform full restore at the back end. Okay, so you are not going to lose your customers. You can just cut short on your downtime, and then at the back end you're also completely redoing your machine. Okay, so that's the comparison that you'll have. Now here I would say recovery has always been a panic for people in India, with whatever the ground reality which I see from my customers. Okay, see, it is not a panic, people. So it's a process. You should smartly validate or plan the process. You have to I'll tell you what all the process that you need to do in this slide. You need to define your RTO and RPO. Okay, so recovery time objective is how fast you can restore your data and come back to the business. Recovery point objective is RPO, and this explains how much how much downtime that is acceptable. Okay, recovery point objective is you will be choosing when scheduling a frequency for your backup. Okay, so for example, if I'm going to run the backup at every 1 hour basis, that 1 hour is going to be a downtime, or the data loss between that 1 hour is acceptable. Okay, but if you want to go for some of the banking institutions or financial institutions or any manufacturing institutions can not bear a longer RPO. So what they do, they can go for an RPO less than 20 minutes or half an hour. At industrial best standard is every 15 minutes. Okay, so every 15 minutes as a minimum RPO, you are safer enough. That 15 minutes of data loss is acceptable. Okay, so it is near continuous data protection actually that you'll enjoy. And this is available in the BDR Shield, because in BDR Shield we provide an RPO from every 15 minutes, and RTO you can achieve less than 15 minutes with some of the restore options like instant boot recovery, disk mount, and all that. And even granular recovery, a file or folder will satisfy at times. Next, build and test books, test run books. That is, if there is an attack, how is that you're going to plan, and you have to bring in this strategy has to be brought into a book, and you have to educate all this to your team members. Okay, so here is where you need to identify, if you have 10 missions, not all 10 missions should be brought in immediately. Any 2 missions, that is the critical missions, should be pointed and should be brought in immediately to live. Okay, and then you execute the recoveries for the rest of the stuffs. Okay, so here's where you need to plan how the test run should work. Next, the next one is the systems. That is where you need to categorize. That is what I mentioned as tiers. So the critical servers and applications is getting its higher priority. The rest of the systems will go under the medium priority or to the lower priority. So whatever is highly critical should be brought in immediately. So that is where your focus should be, and that should be going into this test run books. Okay. Next, monitoring and alerts. If there is a downtime, immediately you should be alerted. Okay, it should detect the failures faster, and you should be able to restore it sooner. So that type of options should be there in your hand. Okay, so you can cut short on the downtime. Now, how would you communicate with during the downtime? You should have a communication, or that is internal communication plan. So you can just keep your stakeholders or your customers with detailing that we'll be back in minutes, and you should proceed with that. Okay, so that proper communication should be there, should be availed. Only then you can proceed further. And please do run regular DR drills. Recovery drills should be running. It is more like a fire drill that comes into your office. You should run DR drills also. Okay, so this would ensure trust. Even when an audit comes, you can just show them the report saying that we have performed DR drills at regular intervals. So that ensures your recovery recovery is stubborn, and you can just go with easy recovery at any time. You don't have to worry at all. Okay, so what do you start with? So since we are not only talking about the concepts, we need to talk about what you should do. Here is the detailing. Okay, how do you start with? And you can start it from here. Immediate actions that you can do it this week is identify your 3 to 5 most critical servers or applications, or whatever it is. You should identify those applications, categorize it, and you need to check what would happen if it goes off for 4 hours. Okay, so that is something that you need to immediately check and categorize it. Next, you need to check your last backup restore when the literally like running a drill. So you need to check when the last backup was done and whether you were able to restore that data. That is very important. Next, on the immediate thing itself, document your current recovery steps and make it in one single page. Do not take it too complex. Okay, so first, categorize, check what is the last status of the backups that you have done, document it in simple terms so that it is not complex and it is action flashcards that comes in. Okay, so this is your immediate action that you need to do. Then within this month, you have to, that's a short-term visit you have to do. So you need to revisit your RPO and RTO of the machine which you have taken a backup. Evaluate your recoveries like instant recovery or VM boot. You need to check whether it is working fine. So that is also there. Again, a proper ownership and a proper detailing has to be done to your people. Okay, so you should assign ownership. You need to set a team under them. This is something that you need to manage, that everyone needs to manage in the organization to keep it running. Okay, that is one. Next, between the quarter, the next 3 months of time, strategic actions. Try to go with automated failover for your highest priority workloads. Build a DR book. See, all these one page documents should be built in with a strategy plan. So it is a DR run book that everyone should be having in your IT team, so that they are educated with that, and they whatever they need to check upon, they just go check it immediately. So tabletop drill has to be done with your team. Okay, next, you need to assess the DR solution that you have. So either that fits to your environment, or you need to go for a different backup tool. That is something that you need to assess. It's a 3 months of time gap. So immediate one, please start from today. Okay, then at least the short term, you can check it up on a monthly basis, like next April, you can just check that out. And strategic actions to be done has to be planned. Okay, so these are 3 things that you need to, everyone in the MSP who is doing, who is taking care of their customers, or the IT teams of an organization should be in hand ready with this. Okay, so once that is done, what do you take away from this session? One major one is downtime is more expensive than most teams account for, so better you measure it in prior. Next, traditional backup tools are not going to be your friendly one, so make sure you find a friendly one with a modern recovery options to cut short on the recovery gaps. Third one is the recovery readiness. Are you ready? Anytime when you are hit, are you ready to come across and just continue with your business? So this is something that you need, the 3 important steps that you should take away from this session. Okay, so this is more about what we have done so far. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my screen to my console, that is BDR Shield, showing you what all the options that we offer. Okay, so just bear with me before I share this screen. Okay, so people, what you're seeing here is my product, BDR Shield. The reason that I'm bringing you here is, as I said, I'll be giving you an overview of all the features that we have discussed. Okay, so those are something that we're going to discuss here. I'm just going to show you an overview. If you require any one-on-one demo about individual features, we can discuss that, or a plan that you want to propose, we can discuss that separately in a demo. Okay, you can have an one-on-one demo for that. But now we are going to see what are the features. How is this BDR Shield going to address all your requirements? Now, I'm just signing in with my solution, and to people, whoever is new, this is a solution. This is an on-premise solution of mine, and I also have a cloud-based console as well. But now in this on-prem, I have the option. This is an all-in-one window. Okay, this is a centralized management console, which is with all platforms in it. You have servers and endpoints, you have virtualization hosts, you have SaaS applications backup, you have database backup, NAS backup, even your cloud workloads like AWS EC2 instances and Azure VMs, these can be taken a backup. Now, storage, you can decide where you want to store your data. Like you can store your data in either your local storage, such block storages, we call it as, either it could be a directly attached storage or any of your network drives like NAS or SAN, or it could be your own cloud storage, like cloud storage that we support is AWS S3 compatible storages such as Wasabi, MinIO, etc. You have Azure Blob, you have Google Cloud. All these are supported with the BDR Shield that you can use. Okay. And regarding the backup, as I said, we can try taking a backup of all your environments, and the minimum RPO for your increment, ours is completely an incremental type of backup. So the minimum RPO that we support, for example, I would just do it for you. Here is, I'm just going to choose a location. This is a Windows machine. Any particular file or folder that I wanted to do, I can do. Or I can even take a disk image backup for my Windows. I'll go with the disk image level backup. So here, I'm just going to choose one repository, submit it further. So here, I'm going to select this host completely. When I'm even selecting the C and D drive. So these are the disks that I've selected for backup. Proceeding further. Yes, processing. This is the application aware. This ensures the consistency of the application while I'm taking backup. Okay, so this is available. Application aware is there, and here's the frequency, people. So this is what I was talking to you. So you should have the privilege of taking a backup at every lesser RPO. So my RPO is from every 15 minutes. I can schedule it from 15 minutes. I can range it to hourly basis also, and even I can run it on daily, weekly, like. For example, this is my daily. So daily, how many times that I want to run, like 24 hours, within 24 hours, how frequently I want to run, I can run that over here. Even weekly or monthly, or after a backup job that I want to prioritize, I can do, or if I want to run it manually, I can do that. So this is for my incremental type of backup that I'm showing you. Okay. Now I also have some additional full backup schedules. If I need any additional full backups, I can even schedule those additional full backups using this option. But as it is incremental, the initial backup will be a full backup followed by the changes. That is what we track and take a backup. Now retention, here you can decide how frequently, how many changes you want to store it in your storage repository. That is your retention. Even you can go for a GFS type of retention. So there are two types of retention that is available for you. That helps you to select the timestamp and restore the data that is required. So your data is all encrypted with AES 56-bit algorithm, so nothing to worry on this spot. And if you want to add a custom password over that, you can do that. But if you're adding a custom password, ensure that you don't delete the password or forget the password, because once you forget, you won't be able to restore your data. You can't delete your backup job or edit your backup job with another password. Even if you reach out to our support team, they won't be able to help you out on that. Yeah. And this is the final page of review that you're going to do. So here we saw what is the RPO, the minimum RPO, the app aware details. All these are available in this modern backup solution. Now let's see about the recovery, because backup is something that you can achieve. But what about the recovery? Over here. Now this is a VMware backup job that is being configured. And when I try to restore, I literally have all these recovery options with me. So I can instantly boot it up as a virtual machine in a targeted VMware host or a Hyper-V host, where I can achieve an RTO, recovery time objective, less than 15 minutes. That is, this recovery time objective is the one which decide how much time, within how much time I can be back to business. So I have this instant recovery option. I have a disk mount option, which is again instant recovery option, where it will mount the disk of your backup data to your backup server, where you can perform all the read and write operations, where you can even grab a particular data and put it up in your local machine. Okay, so these two are instant recovery options. We can achieve an RTO less than 15 minutes. You have granular recovery, like file level recovery. So any particular, see, this is a complete virtual machine that I've taken a backup. And if not instant, if not modern day restore, if I'm going with the traditional one, I need to restore the complete machine and then I have to perform a restore. That is, it is going to take a lot of time. If I need to restore any particular file or folder, like let's consider, I need all this section, this folder alone, which has some of the details under it. So I'm selecting this folder alone. I'm trying to restore it to a particular location. That's it. Over. Okay. So this is faster enough instead of me restoring the complete virtual machine, which is obviously going to take some time. And even the same, this granular, I can even achieve for applications. If there is an SQL running in my virtual machine and that particular SQL has been a failure, I don't have to restore my complete machine there. I just smartly restore only a particular database and then change things up and I proceed with that. Okay. And recurring to a platform, like for example, this is a virtual machine on my local environment. I can just bring it up as a virtual machine in a cloud, like restoring to Azure. Okay. So these are options that you have in a modern technology. And you also have full VM recovery, where you can completely restore it to a different host, which is a permanent recovery process. Obviously, it will take its time. Now, you also have some, disk level recovery to it, but the important one is download disk. So with this download disk, I can select the timestamp. This timestamp is based on the retention that you keep. Now, these are all a VMDK file format, which I can even restore it as a VHD or VHDX and boot it up on my Microsoft environment, or I can even download it as a raw format. I can boot it up on my KVM environment. So here you see a virtual to another virtual conversion. Okay, and this not only stops here. Let me show you another option though, like for servers and endpoints of my physical servers. So this is my disk image backup of my physical server. Even in that disk image backup, I can perform instant boot recovery. Now I have a bare metal restore for this. Okay, a direct streaming method in a bare metal restore. I also have download disk. In this, I can bring, this is a physical machine of my Windows. I can even bring it up as a raw format, boot it up as a virtual machine on a KVM. Okay, so this is what a modern day technology incorporated machine can do for you. Now if I'm going with a bare metal recovery for the disk image, I have a direct streaming method. Within minutes I can, I can build a machine from scratch with the OS and detail. So that's the technology, level of technology that VDR Shield provides for you. Now apart from these recovery options, I also have multiple copies that you can store. So you can enable VM replication, that's failover and failback that you can do for all your virtual machines of VMware and Hyper-V. You can have a copy of your backup data in the cloud. So even if your local storage has been affected, you can restore your data from the cloud. You can also have offsite DR. You have a DR site. So if your complete production site goes off along with your backup server, then you don't have to worry. You have a DR site. From the DR site, you can restore your data and proceed. Okay, so these are all the important recovery options, or I would say disaster recovery options that you can perform. And apart from this, I also have data integrity check. So here you have something called a data integrity check, which when I enable, automatically it will mount the data. That is all the image-based backups, it will mount the data, boot the data and take a screenshot of that backup data, and it will have it stored in the reports here, data integrity reports. It will show it. So this ensures, like I was talking about the drill. So this ensures the integrity of the data that you have taken. So that with that you can proceed with the restorations. Okay. Next, you have the reporting. All these reports are already readily available. You can just check on the calendar view. You can check all the job level status. All these will give you what is the original size, what is the compressed size. Okay, so this gives you the detail here. This is the original size, this is the compressed size, what has happened, what is the historical report, how many full backups have gone, how many incrementals have gone. Everything can be seen from here. Okay, and you can even download it for your internal audit purpose, or you can even set an email notification for that. Okay, so these are available for you that you can use. So audits and alerts can be for email notifications that you can check, and audit logs. This is like who has changed lastly. So even that investigation can be done through this audit log. If there is any change at the backup server, you can check that through who has logged in, who has done the changes. Everything is noted here. Now you also have an intuitive dashboard. So this dashboard will give you a complete, scope of what has happened. Now, which backup job has occupied so much of space? That backup job detail is shown here. Okay. So what is the total size available? And what is the infrastructure view? How many machines you have added? What is the protection status? And if there is any failure, there is no run for 6 machines, what are those 4 machines that is not running? Okay. So, and what is that 10 machines which is successful? So this is a successful window, and these are the window which is servers and endpoints of 4 machines which is not running. Okay. So this is important. This is what you need to check on. Okay. And next, what is a backup gap? This is so intuitive. It shows you why the backup, what has happened, why the backup has not run. So it gives you the detail. Okay. So backup gap, you check. The last success was September 13, 2023. After that, the backup hasn't done. So 2026, what is the status? So this is something that you can check. What is the storage repository? What has happened? What is the original size that is occupied? What is the compressed size that has happened? Everything can be checked over here in this detail. Okay. So this intuitive backup will give you an clear view of what is happening. If there is any backup job in progress, you can check on it and see what is the backup job in progress. Disconnected agents can be checked here. Agents up to date can be checked here. So all the agent details will be shown here. So this is what you have in the modern way of backup solution. And one such is BDR Shield. And we have two consoles here. What I'm showing you is a on-premise console. We also have a cloud console for this matter. Now, said that, we have just come to the end of the session, my dear friends. So I've just given you an overview here of what we have. Now, if you guys have any questions to be asked, please post it up in the Q&A box. Because I do see a lot of questions that is popping up and my team is trying to answer those. Anything further, like you just have a few minutes, you can just post it up there. I believe most of the questions were addressed in this session, and some questions, yeah, I see. Okay, these questions we'll be sending it to you over the email. Okay, so some questions I can just directly read it out. I have a question now popping up. Is it support in Linux Ubuntu environment? Yes, Ubuntu, you can try taking a file and folder level backup of the Ubuntu machine. Or if you want to host a backup server on a Ubuntu machine, you can do it. Yes. So I've answered that question if I'm not wrong. Okay. There's another question that is coming up again. So what about the VMs hosted on private cloud? Now, my dear friend, if there is a private cloud like Linode or Vulture, we directly don't comply with them. We only go with Azure or AWS. I understand, but we can install an agent. It's going to be an agent-based one. So what you'll need to do is, on that operating system, you need to download the particular agent, respective agent, and install the agent there, and that we can try taking a backup. If it is Windows operating system of the virtual machine, then it can be a disk image level backup that you can go for, opt for. Or if it is Linux, you will be going for a file and folder level backup. Okay, the licensing for on-premises and cloud, my dear friends. Now, this is so important again. See, we charge based on the workload basis. So it is per workload basis. We have both subscription as well as perpetual model of licensing. So here we only go with workload basis. Either it could be on-prem, either it could be our cloud console. We'll charge based on the workload basis only. So it could be per VM, per endpoint, per server. That is how we charge. There's no minimum and a maximum cap that you need to worry about. We don't charge like that. It's per endpoint basis, per server basis, per user basis for Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace, per server basis, per VM basis. That is how we charge. Okay, so that's same. But in cloud, if you're going to use our cloud storage, we have BDR Cloud. For the cloud console, if you're going to use our cloud storage, this license cost plus the cloud storage cost will also be coming in. Okay, but if you're going to use your own storage, then you don't need to worry. Okay, so I have another question, like DR, is it highly recommended? Yes, of course, DR is highly recommended. Okay, so disaster recovery is just a term, but how we are going to smartly do it is something that is important, but it's completely dependent on your environment. So you have to plan accordingly and we have to achieve accordingly. So to plan things, you have a requirement, maybe you can come down to our demo session. We can first I'll understand your requirement and then I can give you a tutorial. So yeah, there are a lot more questions here, my dear friends. You don't have to worry. These questions will be answered over the mail to your registered mail ID. So that will be available by them. And before I go, I also wanted you to stay tuned with our mediashield.com. So this is for recent updates on MediaShield, our product. You can just check out mediashield.com. For any partnership or sales queries, you can just reach out to media-sales@wimbo.com for support. But basically, these two would be your first request. And if you want to reach us support for, if you're already a user and you want to talk about this, then you can just reach out to media-support@wimbo.com. But predominantly go reach out to media-sales and mediashield.com. So that would be more suitable for you. And yeah, as I said, this if you want any specific feature to be talked in much in detail, we can go with the demo, one-on-one demo. So you can reach out to media-sales and we can schedule a demo for you. From there, we can take in details and we can help you out with this. And my dear friends, this recording will be available in our website, as I said, mediashield.com, where you can check on the webinar panel there. This recording will be available in our website after 48 hours. You can check that up. Maybe by next week, you can start checking. So I conclude my session here, and it was a pleasure having you all in this session. It was so wonderful. Do not worry, people who have asked the questions, do not worry. We'll be sending you an email for whom we haven't answered. Those questions, we'll address it over an email to you, to your registered mail ID. So thank you so much again for joining the session, and for further details, please stay tuned with MediaShield. This is Pranav signing off. Thank you so much.